Now, Tom Coale on WBAL News Radio 1090, FM 101.5, and the WBAL radio app.
We have all been watching the budget process happen at the state level, and coming up right after that is going to be, or I guess while that's going on, is budget processes at the local level. And I have my friend, Howard County Executive Calvin Ball on to talk to me about that. Good morning, Dr. Ball. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing just great. How are you?
Doing well. Glad to be back in this seat after a long absence. So let's kick right into it. The last month, the public school system sent over a proposed fiscal 2024 operating budget of $1.14 billion, which would require a 16% increase in county funding. And you responded that that was, quote, unattainable. Why is that?
Well, I tell you, just last year, we were able to get them $84 million in a one-time increase. That is the largest increase in over 20 years. And during 4 years, these past 4 years, we were able to actually increase spending by an average of 3.4%, which is about 30% higher than the previous 10 years. The proposal that they gave is, like you said, more than a 16% increase, and that's more than our entire county budget, police, fire, taking care of roads. So it's just not realistic.
And when Governor Moore was talking about his own budget, he noted that there would be a discontinuation of those federal dollars, and also indicated there were troubling economic outlook as it relates to the country, but also Maryland in particular. I presume that you're sort of looking at the same thing in Howard County.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we saw the school board and our school systems, not just in Howard County, but across the state and the nation, get tens of millions of dollars of federal funding, state funding, local funding. A lot of times, many of us didn't even know down to the dollar where those dollars went. And now we're looking at a potential recession on the horizon. We're seeing inflation. We need to make sure that we're good fiscal stewards while still making sure that we invest in education, but invest in all the things that address our quality of life.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that people got used to having this big influx of federal dollars, and I think Governor Moore's done a good job of setting the table on expectations as it relates to that. Is there anything that you're seeing in Governor Moore's budget that you're particularly excited about?
Well, I think Governor Moore has done a great job thus far in making sure that we prioritize the things that matter. People want to not only be safe, but feel safe in our communities. And so he's putting more investment in public safety. And again, he and I and many others support the tenets of the blueprint. And we want to make sure that we have the best teaching and learning environment for our educators and our students. However, we need to make sure that we are good fiscal stewards and that we invest in all the other aspects of not only the local budget from my perspective, but the state budget from Governor Moore's perspective.
I'm talking to Howard County Executive Calvin Ball. Now, you are also the president of MACo this year. I had you on, I guess, a couple months ago to talk about that. How are MACo's priorities working their way through the legislature this session?
Well, we're doing pretty good. We're talking with many of our partners around the state on the issues that matter, such as when it comes to revenue sharing for cannabis use. As you know, we're trying to make sure that, you know, there is that investment in local dollars. When we see land use, which is governed by local officials, when we see any of the other aspects that deal with cannabis use, a lot of that comes through locals. And so we need to make sure that there's local funding. And then related to, you know, our last point, ensuring that there's transparency in budgeting when it comes to our school systems. When there are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that aren't necessarily accounted for in school systems, that's not good for anybody.
And what do you mean by that? Because you did emphasize the transparency and education funding last time around. Where is, I guess, the contentiousness? Who is hiding the ball, and what transparency is MACo looking for with those dollars?
Well, I think as we see with the blueprints phase in, there is an interest in more transparent reporting of the sources, uses, and outcomes for education investments. Here in Howard County, just last year, we finally had a budget over $1 billion going to our school system for operating funds alone. A lot of people don't know exactly what are the outcomes. How can we get reporting and see the inputs from not only all those dollars, but specifically to the blueprint? When the blueprint has an oversight committee, how do we know that we're taking care of our educators, we're taking care of our students, and that the monies that we're putting forward are actually having the impacts that we need?
So it's, and again, I'm talking to Howard County Executive Calvin Ball about education spending and transparency in education spending. It's really about knowing more from the school system about how those dollars are being spent, and also just in terms of some accountability on how they're spending it. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, we want transparency, we want accountability, and we want to continue to be partners to ensure that we're being effective and we're efficiently using the taxpayer dollars, especially when it comes to our children.
Again, I'm speaking with the Howard County Executive, Dr. Calvin Ball. I can't have you on without talking about Ellicott City. You have been a huge supporter of the infrastructure necessary around Ellicott City to address the flooding down there. And you got the Quaker Mill Pond that's coming up or has been funded. Tell me more about that one.
Well, I am so excited. We have our Ellicott City Safe and Sound plan, and we worked on several different aspects of the plan, ensuring that we had high ground access signs, that we had early alert tones, that instead of just clearing out debris quarterly like what happened before I was county executive, we do it every major weather event. We've already cleared out more than 30 tons of debris. We cut the ribbon on the H7 pond about in October of last year. And then just a week or so ago, we cut the ribbon on the Quaker Mill Pond. Those two water retention ponds together can hold about 7.5 million gallons. So when we have major weather events, they'll hold the water and release it slowly to help minimize the impacts of flooding.
And a lot of people have been focused on the tunnel just because I think that gets the headlines. But these ponds operate independent of the tunnel. Am I correct in that?
Exactly. So there are two major types of projects. We have water retention and water conveyance. The two ponds are part of the water retention. The extended North Tunnel, which is a 5,000-foot long tunnel that has an 18-foot diameter, is underground. It actually conveys the water to the Patapsco River even more efficiently and safely. So all of these projects together are what's going to help Ellicott City be safe and sound for the next 250 years.
Dr. Ball working hard on education, working hard on Mako, working hard on Ellicott City. Thank you for taking time this morning to coming on the show.
Thank you, and make a spectacular Saturday.
All right.